Okay, welcome back to another episode of First Use, and in today's video I'm going to go through Freo. I'm going to look at their centre bounces and some areas that they can work on, get better, what Darcy can do when he comes up against bigger opponents like Max Gawn on the weekend. They were -9 out of the centre bounce, and when you lose by 10 points, centre bounces become really crucial. So I'm going to go through some of their centre bounces and show you how they could fix up a few areas, and then I'll show you a few videos where they did it quite well. So let's get into it and have a look now. Okay, I want to look at Darcy. There's a few, and I'm not having a pot shot at anyone. Darcy, you know what? It's just here to give you feedback, whether it's to Sean Darcy or give you some, if you're a ruck or a midfielder, just give you a bit of an idea on what things that you can do to improve. What I found with Darcy, going up against Gawn, premier ruck of the competition, obviously, a lot of his first centre bounce, and I'll show it later on, Darcy's first centre bounce, he went straight into Gawn. But then for the rest of the game, he would do this little arc because he leads with his left leg, and the momentum he had was going into thin air every time. So, but Max Gawn, and for any of your rucks out there, you've got to practice this. You've got to run. You've got to have your momentum going through the bag. You can't come if you come on an angle. You want to try and line up the opponent, right? So if you do come with an arc, that's what I used to do. You have to stand. Basically, let them be on your right. So you come on the left-hand side, and then make sure you have your knee going straight into them. You will see on many occasions when Darcy was jumping, like I just said, his knee was going to thin air, whereas Max Gawn was going straight through him. And that's why Max Gawn was able to do this on a number of occasions. So you'll see it come through. Look at Darcy. He's pointing. His momentum's going that way. He hasn't even jumped. But look at Gawn. He's going straight through him. So the momentum, it's a lot easier to get you off off balance. It just pushes him away and clearance once again. So Melbourne worked their blocker really well. So this is Clayton Oliver in the blocker. There's the two rucks. There's Fullerton and Oscar McDonald. And Freo is missing Luke Jackson right now. That second ruck that comes in, the agility, the second and third efforts, and I'll show you that through. But in this situation, Clayton Oliver works really well. He comes at the ball. It's a good tap and it's a good clearance. In this situation, I believe if your side is losing the centre bounces, and you'll get the messages, I'm a big believer in that you go to, in this case, you would have, because Melbourne's going right of screen, you would go defensive triangle. So you would have this player come to here, and then you would set up. So basically what you do is you force the opposition to hit back, which in effect, if the ball bubbles a little bit along here, at least everyone's going towards your goals. They did that a few times, Freo, but I think they could have done it more. So in this situation, it's really good movement from Clayton Oliver. It's a great tap, bang, out, handball receive, and away we go. So for Freo's point of view, I think if they need to get that sweeper a bit, and their blocker worked okay, but they really were let down with their two anchor points, which is the sweeper and the blocker. So when it's really in tight, and Young did this early on or during the game, where he got on his left foot and just kicked it out of here. In these situations, really think you've got to just get on your boot. And you'll watch here where he gets an opportunity to be on his left foot and just bomb it out of there. But because he went for the hand pass in congestion, Melbourne ends up winning the centre clearance. So it goes up, sort of bobbles around a little bit, but just here where he picks it up, he could know it's really tight, but have a chance to go on his left foot. He tries a hand pass in traffic, and Melbourne ends up winning the loose ball. And then they win the clearance. So this is a really good tactic from Gawn. You see, when I was showing you before, Darcy sort of come on an angle. He was coming this way. So this particular, I like that he's changed it up. He tries to go through Gawn, but Gawn's very, very good in this area. And what I mean by that is the ability to watch the ball, but actually have his momentum going through the opponent. So not only can he jump against you, but he can also go through you. And that's what happens in this situation. Now, you see on the clock, there's 27 seconds left. It's right at the end of the first quarter. Viney is the one that gets on the end of this and kicks a great goal. But what I want to focus on is just the momentum. So something that Darcy needs to practice on is trying to get himself not only to jump, and he can jump, his left leg through the opponent, but work on this area because Gawn is a master in this sort of position. So you watch how he comes through. He just drives through Darcy. Dude gets his leg up and drives straight through him. You can practice that in the bag. A lot of timing, a lot of years of practice doing this. But this is what... see, Darcy's trying to go for height. He's trying to go up, whereas Gawn in that motion. Whereas you've got to learn to actually go through him. And that's what Gawn does. And his ability to then put his opponent off centre and then centre bounce clearance, away they go, goal. The other thing Melbourne did quite well, and something that Freo needs to be really wary of, is just the ability to run forward. Once they knew they had the ball, they spread. This situation, this is the one that Cozzy kicks a goal, running forward. But you'll just see the spread. Petrarca, Viney, good one-on-one contested footy, and just the ability to win it. I think Freo have got to be a bit more balanced in this area because there was so many times where they allowed the spread of Melbourne going forward. So it's a hard one when you want to try and, you're trying to win the footy, but once you see the turnover, you've got to be able to turn your head and spread. And this is where they're caught. They're caught on the goal side a lot with Melbourne running forward. So you see how this plays out. Great contest there from Viney just to get a hand in there. But then his ability to hunt the ball, very clean below the knees. And one goes to ground. And then there's Petrarca. So he was at that centre bounce there. He started behind, but he's the one that moving forward, and so was Cozzy. So they allowed the D's to get on the goal side of their opponent. So it really made it hard for them to actually then they're on the back foot. So instead of actually going, they were too busy ball watching or trying to still be in attack mode. So in this situation, when you've got two non-rucks, you don't allow this to happen. That's Petrarca. So you're hedging your bets a bit. I get it, but you're down on the score. You're losing the centre bounces. I don't mind it though in relation to you want to set up the defensive triangle, right? So in this situation, I would if you just don't leave Petrarca free, period. So you would do it late. You would actually this player would come here to actually make it a 2-on-1. Keep the sweeper there. Very important to still have the sweeper because he's the one that's able to stop that run. I don't mind that. So when the ball goes up, this player comes and at least make it a 2-on-1. And so Melbourne knew this, and that's why Oliver stood on this side and why Cozzy stood on this side. And if it bubbled out, if it bubbles out the other way, yeah, Freo win it. Or if Melbourne hit it forward, Freo win it. But I just think he's just too dangerous to let free. So when the ball goes up, you make it a 1-on-2. Just try and nullify the situation. Ball goes up. Great hands by Oliver. And then another centre clearance. This is what I'm talking about. They're always a lot of the times when the ball was going towards the D's goal, they would have 1, 2, sometimes 3 players in front of their Freo opponents. So something they just need to tidy up a bit more. So second and third efforts, and this is where Gawn had a dominant game, but it was able to get on top of Darcy. So the ability to spread forward And it was not only the mids, but it was also Gawn, the ruck, sprinting hard forward. So this is where they were lacking Luke Jackson's ability to not only pick up but also spread forward and put the opponent on the back foot. So you see in this situation, it bobbles around a little bit, but Gawn ends up getting it here at centre half forward. So it's the ability of second and third efforts just to actually take a risk and go forward. Bobbles around here a little bit. Melbourne and there's Gawn, already heading off. Darcy's with him. So he's got him there. Melbourne was really clean off their needs, but look at the spread he's already got from Darcy. And then no checking there on Cozzy. The old 1-2 over the top. And inside forward 50 they go. So in this situation here, this is Oscar McDonald. When you have a second tier ruck against a premier ruck, in my mind, it's an automatic defensive setup, defensive triangle. So defensive triangle is this. So Melbourne's going right of screen. You set up the defensive triangle. So what you do is you force them to make a decision to hit it back. So that means that the players on this side can then be able to put pressure on and force them to hit it back in the hope that the ball bobbles around, but it's also going towards your goal, but you can actually hold them in. But the other thing is too, when the opposition win the ball, they're kicking from here. They're not kicking from this area. And so this was a no-no in my opinion when you do this. You need to have representation in this side and get them to think about hitting it back, and they don't do that. What eventually happens is Gawn just bodies in, like I've said he loves to do, and ends up hitting the hand pass into this space. Oh, and away he goes. So if they had representation on this area and here as well, they would have, one, be able to try and at least tackle Gawn, and two, be able to have pressure come here. And they had neither of that. And then, once again, goal side, definitely goal side. And out they went. Like I said before, their sweeper and their blocker for Freo, these are two anchor points that you should have. This player is trying to run and wrap around when I think at this point in the game, you've got to be able to try, and it's close at this point. They're only down by 12 points with 8 minutes to play. Yes, you've got to have an attacking mindset, but you've got to make sure that these two anchor points are pretty sound. This player here is not even looking at the ball, so he has no idea where the flight of the ball is and where the rucks are facing. So in respect, that's your back's to the play pretty much. But the body work of Petrarca here is really, really strong. Able to muscle up, push off, and then be able to win another clearance. And when it's a really close game, those little things that they need to tidy up can, be close to 4 points or, not winning the game at all. So this is what I'm saying about Darcy. So it's 5 minutes to go. They're down by, the Dockers are down by 12 points. So really critical time in the game to win a centre bounce clearance. This is what I'm saying about his delivery, his momentum into his opponent, in this instance Gawn. Just watch him as he comes in. He ends up, instead of actually driving his knee into Gawn, he stops, he hesitates, and his momentum ends up going this way. So it makes it very easy for Gawn to use his momentum to go through him to get the ball and another clearance. This is one area that Darcy's got to do. He's a big fella. He's got to get his left knee up and just drive. So at training, just drive into the bag, whether it's whether it's putting your momentum going through, so short, burst straight in, or even jumping up into the bag. But in a critical phase of the game, this is something that he needs to work on. So as he comes in, see how he's turning away? He could have easily got his knee up into Gawn there and let Gawn's momentum push him towards the ball. Young's got separation here. So this could have been a really good little dinky tap. And Brayshaw is actually manning up really, really well. So this could have been a nice little gentle tap for Young to go on his left foot. But because Darcy decides to stop and prop and his momentum goes this way, it makes it really easy for Gawn to put his momentum through him and get another clearance. Bang. Push him off centre. And away he goes. And there's no doubt that Freo had the setup there to hit it to Young with his left foot to go around. But this is where Darcy needs to make a more stronger effort into his opponent and just use his knee and just drive it straight in. Right, so let's look at a couple of clips. So I thought they did it quite well. So this is the first centre bounce of the game, and they used their blocker quite well. So the blocker's here, the sweeper's there, but the blocker got separation. When the blocker got separation, they were able to win the clearance. Blocker's already pushed off. So he's got that separation. Wins the clearance. So when the blocker was moving, the sweeper's got to stay. Sweeper's got to be sweeper. I keep saying this. The sweeper's so important. Sweeper's got to stay. But that blocker can move and then work in conjunction with the receiver. So a couple of times, O'Meara and Brayshaw, when they were the blocker and they actually moved towards the ball, they were able to get good clearances. So they set up a defensive triangle here, Freo. So really good. So they got Fullerton and they got Oscar McDonald. So the two non-dominant rucks are in. So they've set up. So really good for Freo, and you'll see what happens here. Bobbles around a little bit. Keep their feet. Young gets it. Little fumble. Has time to set. But as I said earlier, got on his left foot and bang, clearance. So that's what he could have done in the clip that I showed earlier. So Freo gets this right this time. So Oscar McDonald's in against Gawn. So non-dominant ruck, no disrespect to Oscar, non-dominant ruck against the Premier ruck. They set up a defensive triangle. So really smart play from Freo, but they didn't do it enough. You can't do it here and there. You've got to be really consistent. And be aware, too, of where you are in the game. Are you losing the centre bounce clearances? Are you on top? What is actually happening in the game? Are you down? Are you up? So all these sort of things, the leaders out there need to actually stand up and then go, okay, this is what we need to put in place. This is what we're doing. Oscar just makes a contest. Bumbles around, got protection. But because they were on goal side, they were able to, when the ball was bubbled around, be able to be there and have an impact. And O'Meara, I thought, as in this situation, he's the sweeper. So there's the blocker there, but he's the sweeper. But really smart in this situation. You could see that there's a big space in this area. And Gawn's very efficient at hitting it in a lot of areas. So coming on this angle, Gawn likes to hit it here because he's a right-hander. He can flick it here, but it's a really hard tap. And then he also likes to flick it behind. So really good awareness here from O'Meara, especially when he's matched up against Petrarca. Does the push off. Really good awareness. He's off. Bang. And it's centre bounce clearance, and they get a goal from that. So Freo, there's a few areas they need to tidy up on there. especially the blocker on a couple of occasions, and you just saw there from the sweeper. They're the two anchor points. They're really important, but they've got to have the blocker actually get a bit of movement. Don't allow the opposition to get on goal side, especially in the centre bounce, so that ability to go from attack to defence really, really quickly. And for Sean Darcy, practice in the bag this week. Whether your momentum's going straight through or whether you're jumping, try and get your knee going through that opponent. Don't come on the angle where your knee's going into thin air. Tied up a few areas there, and you'll be able to get some more synergy and hopefully win the clearances.